Let's talk about the big moments in your life. Getting that dream job, securing a loan for a new house, even something as serious as a court decision. More and more, the final call isn't being made by a person. It's being made by AI. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden bias in those decisions and what it really means for your future.
So seriously, think about it for a second. When you apply for something really important, who do you picture making that decision? Probably a person, right? Maybe a committee, looking over your file, weighing the pros and cons. But that image we have in our heads, it's becoming less and less true.
Because the reality is, a lot of the time, it might just be an algorithm. Millions of these massive, life-altering decisions are handed off to automated systems every single day. And that shift is exposing a huge and often invisible problem.
Now, we all kind of grow up with this idea that computers are objective. They're just math, ones and zeros. How can they possibly be biased? Well, that's the myth of fair AI. And it's a dangerous one, because the code that's deciding our futures is anything but neutral. This is the heart of the issue. It's called algorithmic bias. See, AI systems learn from data, and if the data we feed them is filled with all of our existing human prejudices, well, the AI just learns those prejudices too. It doesn't magically filter them out, it just gets really, really good at repeating them, baking those biases right into its code.
And here's what makes this so incredibly urgent. A biased hiring manager might unfairly reject a few people. That's bad. But a biased algorithm? It can automatically discriminate against thousands or even millions of applicants instantly. The scale is just breathtaking.
Look, this isn't some sci-fi movie plot. This isn't a what-if scenario. It is happening right now, with very real, very serious consequences for people. So let's dive into some real-world examples. Okay, first up, Amazon. They built an AI tool to help them sort through job applications. Seemed like a good idea, but they had to shut it down when they realized it had taught itself to be sexist. Seriously. It learned from a decade of hiring data, saw that most hires were men, and just concluded that men were better candidates. It literally started penalizing resumes that had the word women's on them.
And it gets even weirder from there. Some systems will reject you based on your zip code, which is often just a stand-in for your race or income level. Other AIs analyze your facial expressions in video interviews to decide if you're a good fit. And get this, some lending algorithms have actually decided that using an Android phone makes you a higher credit risk. It's wild.
This problem is also deeply embedded in the criminal justice system. An algorithm called Compass, which is used all over the country to predict whether a defendant will reoffend, was found to be racially biased. You could have two defendants, one black and one white, with identical criminal histories, and the system would consistently rate the black defendant as a higher risk.
40,000. Just let that number sink in. That is how many people in Michigan were falsely accused of unemployment fraud by a faulty automated system. People lost their homes, their savings, their lives were completely ruined, all because an algorithm made a mistake and there was no human there to catch it.
So you're probably thinking what I'm thinking. This is insane. If we know the code is biased, why can't we just pop the hood and fix it? That's the logical question, right? But unfortunately, it is way more complicated than that.
And the reason is something called the black box problem. Most of these AI systems are built and owned by private companies. So we can see the data that goes in, and we can see the decision that comes out. But how it actually makes that decision, the process in the middle, it's a complete mystery. It's a black box.
And here's the kicker. They keep it a mystery by claiming the algorithm is a trade secret. So if you're denied that job or that loan and you ask why, the company can literally say, sorry, can't tell you, it's proprietary. This makes it nearly impossible for anyone to find bias or to hold these systems accountable.
I know this all sounds pretty overwhelming, but it is not a hopeless situation. There are absolutely ways we can push back and demand accountability and fairness.
So let's talk strategy. 3 key things. First, if you get a decision you think is unfair, always demand a human review. You often have a legal right to one. Second, if you suspect there's a pattern of discrimination, document everything. Keep records. It's crucial evidence. And third, the big one for all of us, advocate for transparency. Support laws that force these companies to open up their black boxes for independent audits. And the good news is, the world is starting to pay attention. Europe recently passed the AI Act, which is a really big deal. It puts strict rules on these high-risk systems, used for things like hiring and lending. It's a first step, for sure, but it's a huge sign that governments are finally taking this threat seriously. Because ultimately, this is the choice we're facing. As we keep building this AI-powered world, we have to decide what matters more: pure efficiency and corporate profits, or fairness, accountability, and basic human rights. Creating a future where our technology actually reflects our best values, well, that's one of the greatest challenges of our time.